What's up everybody, Bright here with a new video, pretty much covering the topic of earlier today of James Gunn covering the topic of what his future plans for the DC movies and shows revealed. I just pretty much want to jump into it, guys, because it's exciting stuff, so let's just get into it. So we know that he was going to be revealing soon what him and Peter Safran have been pretty much working on what seems to be an 8 to 10 year plan. Now today what he revealed was not pretty much every detail like the plots or the stories of every project. He just wanted to go over the first 10 projects, or what he's calling the first chapter of this plan, which he's titled Gods and Monsters. He pretty much revealed what those movies will be. No news of the actors yet, as we know James Gunn is someone who prefers to finish the scripts and the stories first and then cast the roles. Now that doesn't mean he doesn't have people in mind already of what those roles are. You could probably already have his top 5 or so, but none of that will be announced until the stories and the scripts have been fully finished and everything's set to go. So don't expect any casting announcements so far yet. We know these plans are movies and shows that are set to come out in the year 2025, so that's more or less when you can start. So the casting announcement will probably come in in the next year or so, but I pretty much am excited and I'm looking forward to what he's going to go over. So let's just jump into it. But first, we need to remember that this year we need to finish off with the movies that were part of the previous plans. They're not going away just these like that. They will be released in theaters. They're still moving forward with it just to finish off that slate. With that, we know the first of them is going to be Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which is the sequel to the first Shazam. We know it did really well, and people love that character and that story, so that we're going to, of course, move forward with another project. So we have that coming out first. Then from there, we have the Flash movie, which is pretty much gonna restart the future of the DC movies, as James Gunn confirmed. It's pretty much like a clean slate. Whether you like that movie or not of what comes out in it, that's gonna be the opportunity to restart, and it's gonna carry on from there, more or less. And then from there, we have the Blue Beetle movie. We know the Blue Beetle movie was gonna be this awesome adventure introducing this character that we haven't really seen in any other way besides the animated series, some animated movies, and in the Injustice games. It's not a very well-known character compared to some of the other DC characters like the main Trinity or so, but it's still very much a beloved character, and it was going to be an awesome opportunity to see what they were going to do with it. But for now, it looks like we're just getting one movie, and who knows what the future holds later on. But it's an exciting movie nonetheless. And then to top it off, we know we're getting Aquaman 2. That's pretty much going to finish that slate, and that's going to jump in from there to whatever the plans that James Gunn and Peter Safran has pretty much written or creating so far. And that'll be the end of one part and the beginning of the first official chapter of that 8 to 10 year plan that they're working on. So the first project that he announced is called Creature Commandos. It's pretty much going to be an animated series, and he pretty much wrote all the episodes, so it's going to be something that he's going to be overseeing specifically himself, and it's pretty much going to be focusing on a bunch of characters from that story. If you're familiar with her, I'm not too familiar with those characters, but I am excited to see what he does with them. He said we'll be seeing them in and out of animation and possibly appear in live action with whatever future plans aligns with them. So, and he also said that the voice actors that do those characters will be the ones coming out in live action. So it pretty much is something that he's really passionate about. He wants to use those same characters and actors to not pretty much mix it up or anything. It's one story that'll jump into everything, because it's the main DC universe that we're talking about. These are movies and shows that are going to be connected. He wants to have everything, all of that. In the DC universe, don't forget, we're having the movies, the shows, and future games all in one universe. Anything else besides from that will be on the side. And that's going to be the first project he does, and I look forward to that. I'm not really too familiar with those characters, but that's the point. We know he wants to be exploring characters that aren't well known, that maybe weren't popular in the past, or not too much mentioned or used in animated movies or live action. Of course, there's been plenty of graphic novels, so there's plenty of stories to explore in there to get familiar later on of what you want to find out with those characters. The second project he announced was going to be the Waller TV show, and it's not too much, he didn't give too much on that, but it's going to be pretty much focusing on Amanda Waller teaming up with a team from Peacemaker. We might see some of those characters from the TV show, or it could be a new set of characters, but probably going to be teaming up with some of those characters that we saw. Besides that, not much is given on that story, but expect that to connect with everything else. We know that was pretty much the plan of what we're going to see with how Amanda Waller was going to be here and there in the shows, the movies. She appeared in the Peacemaker show. She was in the end credits of Black Adam when all that was still connected. But we know that's not the case anymore. They're not moving forward with that. It's a new slate with new characters and new actors, and we'll just have to see what connection that brings with those characters. The third project he officially announced is probably the biggest one, and it's probably going to have people talking and excited and going to want to know more as we move forward from here. But even though it's the third project he announced, this is going to be the actual beginning, and it's pretty much the Superman movie, Superman Legacy. He said this is the true start of it. It is the movie, the first one that he'll be working on. That is set already with a release date of July 11th, 2025. Now again, he prefers to finish the scripts and the stories, have everything laid out, and then have the actor look for the casting. But like I mentioned, he probably already has someone in mind. Now I know many of us are still bummed out that Henry Cavill is not going to be moving forward with the character. I'm in my opinion, and I'm sure in many out there, there's so much to be explored, or kind of a wasted opportunity. But you know, when you're given the opportunity to start a new clean slate, it's understandable that you don't want to start from scratch, even though you could have probably figured out a way to move forward with that character. But there's a lot of issues and problems that may come with using that familiar face coming from a different universe. So I understand that point. It just sucks because you were already familiar and rooting, and not to mention it was already teased at the end of Black Adam that he was coming back, but only to have it undone. But you know, you can either hold on to the past and be hateful about it, which sucks, and you'd be missing out on stuff, or you can embrace the future and see what future projects and exciting. You can tell James Gunn is passionate and excited about it, and he'll probably do something awesome with it. And don't forget that if you were a fan of Henry Cavill Superman, you can still enjoy the movies that came out in the past. I won't mention to go into it that much because I just want to focus on these announcements, but you know I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I love that story he was going with, even though it wasn't perfect. But we have those movies to rewatch as often as we want, guys. So just remember, let's see what we have coming up with this character. It could be a refreshing take. It could fit in with whatever plans finally. We know the problem with the DC movies is that they can't seem to really grasp a universe to stay connected and jump into the next movies and build up something. They just seem to struggle with that. And hopefully whatever James Gunn is coming up with and sharing a story and working on it with Peter Safran, hopefully it's a refreshing take and we finally can get something awesome that comes out of it. The fourth project is the Lanterns TV show. Pretty much what we know they've been trying to do for the past couple of years, but nothing's come out, nothing's been announced, no actors, no nothing. And it looks like they are moving forward with this. The best thing that James Gunn mentioned was that it's going to be focusing on Jon Stewart. We will see other Green Lanterns, of course, but it's a refreshing take on that character. And the closest thing he mentioned was going to be like True Detective show on HBO. If you're familiar with that, it's pretty much a very dark mystery thriller show that really focuses on the cost of finding out answers to these questions and these strange things happening. So it could be interesting to see that with space. So let's see what, we'll have to keep waiting, but finally awesome to see that they are going to do something with it. So let's just see what happens. The fifth project he announced something called The Authority. That's going to be a movie. We know he's moving forward with that as well. Maybe not too familiar with for people of those characters or that storyline, but we know he's excited with these. James Gunn is someone who likes to bring forward a group of characters that aren't familiar to make them familiar, so that you can see where they come from and see how they can become so important down the line into the main story. And it's pretty much going to be based on the Wildstorm characters from that story. It's pretty much going to cover how it leads those characters into the DC universe. It's going to be about a group of superheroes who think the world is broken, he mentioned, and they just want to fix it. And with that, it's going to be see how far they're willing to go by any means necessary. He mentioned whatever they think is fit to fix the world. That could be an interesting story to see, and I look forward to that. The sixth project is going to be a TV show called Paradise Lost, and it's going to be focusing on the island of Themyscira, pretty much where Wonder Woman comes from. Not much is given on that storyline. We just mentioned it's going to be like, Themyscira. It's going to be similar to Game of Thrones, just with the Wonder Woman lore. The Amazonian warriors come from them. Not much is given on the story, but with him comparing to Game of Thrones on that level, I'm sure it could be awesome and epic, and I look forward to it. Hopefully it'll be an interesting story and a refreshing take and something awesome to include into the DC universe. The seventh project he announced, probably one of my, probably the second one almost. I'm obviously Superman Legacy. It's got me very excited, and I want to see what's going to happen with that. But me being a big Batman fan, of course, this was like right there. But it's interesting to see what he's going to do with Superman. But of course, the seventh project that he announced was going to be the Brave and the Bold. That's right. That's going to be the intro of the Batman on that part, and it's pretty much going to focus on Bruce and his son Damian. And if you're not familiar with that character, Damian is his actual son that he has, and it becomes Robin down the future. And it's going to focus on once Robin takes Damian takes on that Robin title, and it's going to be focusing on Batman trying to get him in line and change his ways. If you know the story, basically Damian grows up only knowing an assassin method, and Batman's going to be trying to bring him over and show him that there are lines you shouldn't cross and pretty much fight for justice and not just killing. It's going to be an interesting story to see. Who knows what the casting's going to be like. I'm excited and interested in seeing what's going to happen. We haven't really seen anything of a storyline with Batman and Robin since the 90s movie, so we'll see what will happen. And don't forget that the Batman movie with that Matt Reeves, and that's a trilogy he's working, that's going to be completely separate. So this is going to be the Batman that's going to be in the DC universe. And the eighth project he announced and confirmed is going to be Booster Gold. That's right, it's happening. I know we've heard whispers and rumors throughout the years. It was going to happen, then it wasn't, and then it was going to happen, and then it wasn't again. And now they're moving forward with it, of course. It's going to be a TV show. It's a very popular character if you haven't really heard of him. Or there's been many attempts of trying to bring it forward, but it just never happened. Basically, James Gunn narrowed it down for us that it's pretty much about a loser from the future who manages to find a way to go back to the past, and he wants to become a well-known superhero. It's pretty much going to be not really a time travel show, but it'll be involving that. It's going to be someone wanting to make a name for themselves and really exploring that imposter syndrome. Someone who's just trying so hard to be someone who matters and a beacon for people, knowing that in the future you don't really have anything. But that's going to be exciting, and I am glad they're actually finally doing it, but we'll just have to wait and see what that comes with it. The ninth project that he announced is going to be a Supergirl movie, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and that's based on a graphic novel, of course. It's pretty much going to focus on Supergirl, and don't forget, she did grow up, she had a couple of years growing up on Krypton, so she did grow attached and familiar with those people, not like Superman, who didn't really grow up knowing anything about that besides what the stories that he heard, when he goes to see the projections of his father, only familiar with the history of it. And it's gonna really show you how wondering how Supergirl deals with that, and she has this big loss carrying with her, and she's just dealing to fit in with the world just like Superman is, but possibly a little harder, coming from two different worlds, where Superman grew up with humans, but did understand where he came from, but of course has an attachment to humans, and Supergirl's probably gonna be more conflicted with that. But who knows what that story brings and what he's gonna do with it? But I look forward to it as well. And the last project that he announced was going to be a Swamp Thing project. That's right, it's going to be a movie. It's pretty much going to be a dark horror story. He mentioned it's not really going to tie in too much into the DCU. It's going to be more of a separate thing, but it's still in the DC universe because it's going to be, be mentioned here. There might be some Easter eggs of this character or the world it comes from. But he mentioned that for now it's not really going to be tied into it too much. Like, don't expect them to see coming out in some of the movies, at least not for now. Of course, to see how these projects do well in the future is what determines what they move forward with. These are just the projects he laid out and what he knows they're going to want to work on. A lot of that can change, of course, depending on the reception of everything, and if it does well at the box office and the numbers are coming in, if people are actually excited and invested in these things. A lot of that can change, but these are awesome and exciting projects that he announced. And don't forget, this is just considered, even though these were 10 projects, this is just considered the first project, Gods and Monsters. The first chapter. Then we had to think of it as kind of like how Marvel's working on these, every phases are all part of one story. You had the first couple phases was the Infinity Saga. Now you have them focusing on the Multiverse Saga, kind of like that. And don't forget, that's an 8 to 10 year plan, so there's going to be many chapters to come. And of course, not every chapter is going to have the same amount of movies or shows planned in there. It's going to be a stretched out thing. And as the years come, who knows what else they'll announce. For now, it is an 8 to 10 year plan, but we've seen how Marvel has pretty much been releasing and coming up with movies and shows and many more projects. So a lot of that can change depending on how well it's done and how awesome it'll be. And don't forget, he's really passionate about it, and he's selected these directors and these writers. He wants everything to be coming up with a unique story, something you're passionate about, something that we really want to see. And you could tell these people care about these projects, and that's going to be awesome, because in the past there's been conflicts and issues of creative differences of directors, writers, and producers, and hopefully this time it'll be everybody in favor of one thing, and you'll be able to see that in the projects they release. But it's awesome stuff to look forward to. And with that, don't forget that the Batman projects with Matt Reeves is a completely separate thing. He said to think of it as Elseworlds. Anything aside the DC universe that's not connected in there, look at it as Elseworlds. There'll be stories that they can tell on the side, not having to worry about tying it in. It'll be its own story, so they could do pretty much whatever they want. And it's awesome to see that of course, they're moving forward with Joker 2. The Batman is, officially given the title that's just going to be called The Batman Part 2, which is awesome. Many times they're given subtitles that people wonder or don't think it fits in. But it's cool to just see it called Batman Part 2. And that's been given a release date of October 3rd, 2025. So it's a couple of years down the road, but it's awesome to hear that Matt Reeves is already in the process of co-writing it. And they're diving into the story. Not much is known. He likes to keep things under wraps to have it be more of a surprise, which is awesome. I loved the first Batman movie he released. It was awesome hit, an awesome story, and clearly there's more story to tell and exploring that world, and I look forward to all this stuff. Bottom line, I'm pretty much excited about all the stuff that's been announced. I look forward to all of it. A lot of it's still a long ways to come, a couple of years to wait on that, but it's going to be exciting. We don't know what it'll be. Maybe some of these projects won't be as exciting as he's beefed it up to be. Maybe they will. We'll just have to wait and see, guys, but I look forward to it. Definitely let me know your thoughts. What projects you're more excited about the most? If you look forward to some of them because of the characters they're going to be using that you're familiar with, or maybe you're looking forward to them exploring these characters that haven't been told before in movies or shows. It's definitely an exciting opportunity to see that James Gunn is focusing on things that they haven't really attempted in terms of not even just finding a way to connect it, but bringing forward a story that pretty much aligns with one. Just like Marvel's doing with movies and shows on Disney Plus, it's what they're going to be doing with movies and shows on HBO Max and in theaters. It's pretty much a laid out foundation, and it's awesome to see that they're starting that out. Quite a good number of projects to reveal after not having that happen not that often from the past couple of months. It's only been a short period of time if you think about it, but it's going to be cool. We'll just have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for taking the time of watching this video. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And definitely let me know what you look forward to the most, because like I mentioned, it's pretty much tied between Superman Legacy and the Brave and the Bold Batman story. Don't forget that on Bright Bright's channel, it's movie time all the time.